Tonight on Not Dateline, watch the gripping story of the murder of a University of Nevada, Reno student, Michelle Mitchell, a case that saw multiple trials and an ending that shocked us all.
It was a normal night at the University of Nevada, Reno, February 24th, 1976. Michelle Mitchell, a local university student, had just finished with her studies when she was about to meet her father at a local bowling alley. But this night would be her last. At around 8 p.m., Mitchell's car broke down off of Evans Avenue. At 8:11 p.m., she called her mom to come pick her up. Her mom arrived 10 minutes later, but Mitchell was nowhere to be found. Her mom arrived to an empty car because someone had already taken Mitchell away. After Mitchell called her mom, a man named Tony Lima spotted her and offered to help with the tools that he had in his garage. Trusting the man, Mitchell followed him.
This is my garage. My tools are inside. Come on in. Oh, you're very attractive. I find them very beautiful. What the?
Michelle was taken around 8:30 p.m. and she was murdered at 10:30 p.m. Her body was found by the owners of the house, Mr. and Mrs. Kane, when they came home around 11:05 p.m. that night. They immediately called the police. Well, 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 what do we have here? Victim appears dead. No signs of sexual assault. Victim still has her jewelry. What was the motive here? Better search for clues. What is this? Is this evidence? What is this? Is this a man's footprint? I gotta bag this for evidence. All right, Billy, let's wrap it up in here. Notify the family.
Notify the family.
Michelle Mitchell's murder was made to seem like there was a homicidal maniac loose in Reno. On February 21st, 1976, just 3 days before Michelle Mitchell's murder, Peggy Davis, an exotic dancer at a local nightclub, was beaten and killed in her own apartment. Davis's death was a contract killing performed by both Ray Wood and Marjorie Carter, who worked at the same exotic dance club as Davis.
While Ray Wood was in jail awaiting her trial for Peggy Davis's murder, she confessed to her cellmate, Kathy Murnigan. She told Murnigan that she had her boyfriend, Tony Lima, kill Mitchell to cover up her contract killing of Peggy Davis. During Ray Woods' first trial, Murnigan's testimony was allowed by the judge due to the fact that it was a statement against penal interest for Wood. Therefore, no additional elements of trustworthiness were needed.
During Wood's pretrial hearing, Tony Lima was brought in during the offer of proof and he denied killing Mitchell. As one of the exceptions to hearsay, the prior inconsistent statement of denying what Ray Wood told Kathy Murnigan caused Lima to become unavailable to testify in court. After Ray Wood was denied immunity, she invoked her Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and also became unavailable.
The Michelle Mitchell murder case went cold, as no charges were brought in the case until nearly 3 years later, in March of 1979. Kathy Woods, a mental patient at the Louisiana State Medical Center in Shreveport, told a nurse that she had killed a girl, named Michelle Mitchell, in Reno 3 years ago. Woods suffered from severe schizophrenia ever since she was a teenager. The reasoning behind the confession of killing Mitchell was to seem as if she was a more dangerous patient in order to get a more private room at the institution. The nurse was then instructed to check in on the confession. She called the Shreveport Police Department, who then called the Reno Police Department. Detectives from Reno then traveled to Louisiana to interview Kathy Woods.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Please state your name.
Crazy Kathy.
Miss Woods, would you like the service of an attorney?
No, I just want to speak to the police. I did it. I killed Michelle Mitchell in Reno. I saw her on the side of the road, and I told her I had tools to fix her car. So we went back to my garage, and she followed me. Then I cut that.
Miss Woods, if you don't mind, we'll start the interrogation now. What color was Michelle's car?
Black.
Miss Woods, can you describe the flooring of the garage for me?
Concrete.
Miss Woods, what was the color of Michelle's hair?
Blonde.
And can you describe how you entered the garage?
With my key.
Miss Woods, what was the name of the building in which Michelle was last seen?
The agriculture building.
That's all the questioning we have for now. Please wait, we're here while we debrief.
Man, I really don't think she did it. I mean, the two answers she got right was the hair question that came out of this newspaper and the agriculture building, which came out of this newspaper. The other one she got wrong.
I don't know, man. This case has been cold for 3 years. We gotta take someone in.
I don't think it's her.
In 1980, Kathy Woods was taken to court and she pled not guilty. Her defense attorney was unable to use Kathy Murnigan's testimony because it was not considered sufficiently trustworthy. Under NRS 51.345, Murnigan's testimony should have been allowed, but the district court had found Murnigan not to be a credible witness.
Since Murnigan's testimony could not be considered, Kathy Woods' defense attorney had no other way of acquitting Kathy Woods. She was then convicted of first-degree murder of Michelle Mitchell. Kathy Woods' defense team then looked to reopen and reconsider the case, as they felt that Murnigan's testimony was their best chance at acquitting Kathy Woods.
In 1985, Kathy Woods' case was reopened in the Court of Appeals. Her defense team looked to show that her confession of the killings were just past recollections from a newspaper that had information about the killing. The defense also argued that Woods' schizophrenia made her believe that she was at fault for the murder. Then the defense sought to introduce Kathy Murnigan's testimony as a way to give reasonable doubt that someone else committed the murder. However, the testimony was not considered because Murnigan was found to be not trustworthy enough to be admissible to the NRS 51.345 statute.
The prosecutor also claimed that Kathy Woods knew details that only the killer would have known. Woods attempted to submit newspaper clippings as evidence to show that the information of the killing was common knowledge, but Woods had no way of showing that she actually read the newspapers. She was once again convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Woods spent more than 30 years in the Nevada State Penitentiary. Woods is one of the longest-serving women to be wrongfully convicted and then exonerated in United States history. While Woods was in prison, she had the DNA on the cigarette that was left behind at the crime scene tested. The Rocky Mountain Innocence Project took on her case and found that the DNA matched a felon who had been convicted of an attempted murder of a woman in the Reno area in 1975.
The felon, Rodney Halbower, escaped the Nevada State Prison and fled to Oregon where he attacked yet another woman. He served his time in the Nevada State Prison until 2014, then transferred to the Oregon prison to serve his time there. Upon the transfer, he gave a mandatory DNA sample. This was his very first DNA test, which was then stored in the FBI database.
Woods was finally set free in 2014, thanks to DNA evidence, clearing her name. Tony Lima had passed away some years ago, but the DNA of one of his relatives was tested. The DNA came back negative for matching the DNA on the cigarette. Lima, the man who was thought to have left the cigarette at the crime scene after killing Mitchell so many years ago, was cleared. Since Rodney Halbower had to give his DNA sample, he was linked to several murders of young women in the Bay Area, as well as the murder of Michelle Mitchell.
As of now, it is unknown when he will stand trial for the murder of Michelle.